Hey, hello. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm your host today for a new episode of the Wiser and Happier. It's a podcast where we talk about ways of being happy and the people who are happy and wise, and also the life of the brilliant people. We talk about that. So today we are going to talk about one of the greatest mathematician who is not being remembered much because we don't know the reason, but he was the man who invented some fancy ways to count things, and one of the thing was to calculate anything almost faster than machine and only by the brain. So and it can be done by any people, any uh, weak pupil who were struggling with their mathematical things. They still can calculate faster than any machine with his method. So his life and his work should be remembered, should be celebrated, and also should be discussed. So let's talk about him. His name was Jakow Trachtenberg. The man was born in today's Ukraine, but previously it was in the Russia, and he born in the era where Jars were in the ruling position. So in the earlier days of his life, he was a very brilliant person. So he was a exceptionally talented mathematician, and by his early 20, he became a top-ranked engineer in the Jars naval department. And under his leadership, there were 1,100 men working. So when the ruling changed in the Bolsheviks, by the Bolsheviks, he was actually forced to flee the Russia. And this man was actually a good soul, because when there were Tsar regimes, he actually opposed the violence of the Tsar regime, and also he complained or has raised voice against the brutality of the Bolsheviks also. So his total political views actually made him a political refugee. So Trachtenberg had to flee to Germany, then Austria, continuing his work as an engineer and pacifist activist. But with the rise of Nazi, his luck fell short again, and his outspoken stance against tyranny put him in a grave danger. He was arrested and eventually sent to the concentration camp. And he actually raised his voice directly against the Führer, the Hitler, and he was a target of Hitler also during the period when Hitler was rising. And fortunately, his wife Alice was really a savior for him. She was a woman from a elite family who had a lot of wealth. So when he was in the concentration camp, he actually had been ordered to be sentenced to death, but somehow his wife managed to save him. And the things actually become more interesting when he was imprisoned, because Jakob developed a mental math system, a set of technique in that concentration camp that actually kept him occupied with all the brutality happening around him and with him also. So he was always thinking about numbers and everything to keep his mind busy. And secretly, he wrote some of his theory, and everything was in his mind, because there are no question of getting a paper and pen for writing down all the things he had been thinking. But maybe for that, with that limitation, he developed the mental math calculation and like the ways how to remember the numbers in a good way without any pen and paper, and calculating a large numbers, calculating like dividing, multiplying, and getting the root square of any number. He actually was doing it entirely in his mind without any paper and pencil, and doing so in a long time. He developed a system which actually enabled him to do it faster fast enough to like compete with the calculator, and his system was actually if someone someone learn the system, they actually can calculate that even better, with a better speed than a calculator also. So what's the Trachtenberg system? It's a collection of mental shortcuts and techniques that make basic arithmetic, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division much faster and more intuitive. For example, to multiply number by 11, you don't follow the traditional column method. Instead, you break the number into pairs and use simple addition, like multiplying a very large number with any two-digit number. It has a very simple rule, and if you are interested, you definitely should check the Trachtenberg system of mental math calculation, and you will be amazed how easy it is. After the war, Trachtenberg emigrated to Switzerland. After the Second World War, actually, he was saved despite being in the concentration camp. He was in the worst concentration camp, but fortunately he was saved. And after the war, he emigrated to Switzerland and continued teaching his system. He founded a mathematical institution in Zurich and published the Trachtenberg speed system of basic mathematics. His work inspired educators worldwide and helped the kids, thousands of students, especially those who struggle with the traditional methods. His system is still being today, not just for speed, but to build a confidence in math learners who thought they just weren't good enough for the numbers. So Jakow Trachtenberg turned horror into hope, numbers into liberation. His life reminds us the human mind, even under oppression, can create brilliance. Whether you are a math lover or just someone who wants to play with numbers, Trachtenberg legacy is a gift waiting to be unwrapped. Hey, thanks for listening to the Wiser and Happier. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, rate us, and subscribe for more stories about the minds that changed our world. Until next time, stay curious. Bye.